Nothing beats a road trip that's all about food, led by a food blogger who has eaten everything and everywhere in Perak. In Malaysia, people seem to think that the more inconspicuous and hidden an eatery is, the better the food would be. And as a Malaysian, I have to concede to that fact. So Chef Julie and I have decided to go on a food trail road trip in Perak, where we'll literally travel off the beaten track in search of the best food. Instead of scouring food blogs on where to eat, we bring the blog to us. That is, we've recruited food blogger James Tan to be our food guide. James is a Perakian and is the author of the popular food blog Mouth to Mouth from Ipoh. The first stop of our food trail road trip is Sungai, just an hour's drive away from Kuala Lumpur. Sungai is a small town most well known to holiday goers for its natural hot spring pools at the Felda Residence Hot Springs. We head to James's favorite childhood restaurant, Choi Kee, which after 60 years of being in the business happens to be one of the most famous eateries in Sungai. Choi Kee is helmed by a husband and wife team, Mr. and Mrs. Lee, who have been cooking together for 11 years.
Back then, when I was a kid, we used to grow up coming to Songkai whenever there's festive season. Because my grandfather used to stay here, we grew up practically eating every year at the same restaurant. Let me introduce to you to some of the dishes that are great here. First, we must order the braised knuckles, which is excellent, very soft. River prawns here, they are huge. They're like mini lobsters, basically. You can cook that with noodles, which is the sangha min. Excellent stuff, soaking up all the juices from the fresh river prawns. Thirdly, I'm sure this is a dish that you probably haven't tried before, which is called ikan terubuk. Ikan terubuk is actually a seawater fish. They manage to cook it overnight, simmer it over slow fire, and then cook it in a very tangy asam sauce. And then do you know, you can actually eat the bones of the fish.
You can just swallow it, it's fine.
Swallow it whole.
You sure?
Everything just melts in your mouth. And last but not least, another dish that I really like is the sambal pucuk pakis.
I love sambal pucuk pakis.
Here in Choi Kee, they do it so well that you probably will order this time and again. Very crunchy, very spicy.
In the meantime, Chef Julie's gonna try her hand at cooking the pucuk paku we've ordered. Very different from what she's used to cooking as the Western chef.
This is it. 幾耐啊嚇？
滾嘢滾一滾就得㗎啦。如果你烚到唔夠身，佢會轉好黑㗎。
係啊。We have got some chili sambal here to mix it into the hot oil。擠翻落去啊？
擠入去加
擠啊！
擠埋落去咁炒佢。
And then 仲係擠咩啊？
然後再擠啲豉油。
咁少就夠㗎啦。
係啊，因為入邊嘅嘢已經用齊咗啊。
哦，We've got some coconut cream here, some cornstarch。哇，好香啊，好香啊
！OK。
Okay, we're ready。師傅得冇？
一流啊！
真係嘅？
真嘅，100分。
嚟，我哋落去試下咧。
Absolutely charmed with our meal at Choi Kee, we're only too happy to head to James's next recommendation, a factory that produces sake ma, a type of sweet, sticky and crispy egg flour biscuit.
呢啲係打開嘅麵粉，又係有雞蛋同埋麵粉，又攞嚟咁樣炸咯。
咁樣炸幾耐啊？炸呢嚟睇油。
你睇下油啊！喺油啊，我哋大嗰啲，大佢啲啦。你睇嗱，佢一啲冇色噶嘛，佢咁樣一板嘅有啲黑嘅芒㗎嘛，下低一個黃啲啊、黑啲啊。
哦。
Once the dough is fried, caramel is added to be mixed.
呢啲係唔係用 machine 做過，全部都係手工做。
全部人工做㗎。
好辛苦喎，咁樣都。
慣咗嘛。
重冇。
Let's then go and try. Yeah.
點樣撈？咁樣係咪？ It's like rowing a boat. 係咪啱喎？哦，唔啱啊！咁 Mr. Pla is the operations manager who's been working at the factory for 52 years, since he was 15 years old.
嗰啲糖啊，標咗咪打暈你咯。
I have to bring it up, you know?
Bring it up and put on the top.
要咁樣落，你喺度。
I think mine is better 啦，James。呢個撈到好啲，快啲講。呢個撈到好啲。
你有靠得油啦。
差唔多咁差係咪？
而家我哋係咁樣倒落去就我平嘅，你冷我哋見到嘅就變得一嚿嚿咁咯，硬性咁。
As a chef, right? You think this is easy?
It's not that easy because the caramel has to come to a boiling point, soft boil. It's just like making macarons, it's just like making marshmallow, nougat, you know? So you got to be very careful and have the thermometer in the syrup. I see, yeah.
你睇唔見啊？一陣間
所以佢搣唔到啦。
搣唔到啦。
Imagine every day you do the same motion.
Yeah.
Then you'll be like so
Then she'll have muscles.
Yeah. You already have
I want a
muscle.
muscle, I want a muscle.
因為我快啲放入去啊，唔係陣間有咩事。
冇嘢嘅。
So no rush.
The process for making sake ma starts at 8 every morning and ends at 5 in the evening. I'm not sure if we're helping quicken the process or simply slowing things down. Off again, we journey on to our next destination, Bidor, a small town further north of Sungai. Bidor is fondly referred to by Malaysians as a stopover town, as before the North-South Expressway was built, travelers had no choice but to pass through this town through the trunk roads. These days, Bidor is still famous for its variety of food, and visitors regard it as a great place to purchase pad thai, guavas, pomelos, and mangoes. One can see why travelers still choose to stop by Bidor before continuing their journey. As it turns to dusk, a clear signal for dinner, James takes us to Pun Chun restaurant. Famous for their noodles and confectionery, he's been frequenting this coffee shop for over 20 years.
Hello, Miss Kong, 你好。Hello.
Okay.
Remember the sake ma we packed this morning?
Yes, it's this
Yes.
one.
Yeah, this is the one I will take some.
Wait. I think we're a bit hungry now.
Okay.
So
I'm very
why don't we
hungry.
take a seat
Okay.
and taste some of their famous duck noodles? You see, the beauty of the noodle is that they make it fresh every day at the same factory, and that they mix the sake ma.
So this is all handmade.
Handmade. So what they do is that they use a huge bamboo to press on the flour. That makes the noodle has that extra bouncy texture that usually you don't get with the normal machine-made one.
Wow, to do all these noodles in that place by hand. You're actually like catering to the whole restaurant. It's not a small restaurant.
What happens is that I guess they're serving probably hundreds or even thousands of plates of noodles every day. Even on weekends, there are a lot of tourists popping by Bidor for this noodle. Specifically, it's the duck noodles.
How long have you been coming here?
Since I was small, I guess it must have been a good 20, 30 years ago.
How old are you now?
Very old.
Next up on our road trip, we journey to Telok Intan, a town most famous for its mee jawa and to die for chi chong fan. Leaving the town of Bidor behind, James takes Chef Julie and I to our next food trail road trip destination, Telok Intan. A mere 40 minutes from Bidor, Telok Intan is the third largest town in the state of Perak. Our first stop is one of James's highly recommended favorites, the town's famous mee jawa stall. So well known in fact that the stall doesn't have a name, simply number 25.
Hai, Cik Syeda.
Okay, hi James.
Hari ni bawa kawan, cuba mee jawa sini lah.
Okay, boleh.
Ni nampak sedap sangat. What's the perbezaan between mee rebus and mee jawa?
Dia punya kuah berbeza. Okey, dalam ni kita guna udang basah, udang laut, dan ada lagi bahan-bahan lain lah. Cili semua beza.
Ni rahsia tak rahsia?
Rahsia.
Rahsia.
Tak boleh tiru.
Trick of the trade.
The mee jawa the Shida makes is a recipe that's been passed down for 3 generations. It's a tight-knit family business with her brothers at the helm of food and drinks, selling over 300 plates of mee jawa a day.
How's the taste, Ari?
Here comes.
Oh,
Yay, thank kasih.
Thank you.
Ini tak makan pedas-pedas punya kan?
Tak ada pedas sangat. Kurang pedas. Kalau you nak pedas, kita akan tambah cili lah.
You can actually see, right, the gravy looks slightly different. It's actually lighter in color.
Different from what mee rebus you
The usual mee rebus.
Even though they've got a little bit of potato in it, it's so smooth.
You can taste, right, there's a very strong prawn flavor to it. You know
This
this?
is from Beza,
Yes.
not bones.
No,
Okay,
no.
like-
What they've been using is actually the fresh seawater prawns from the
Yes,
rivers of
that's
Teluk
right.
Intan.
Sweet.
Teh tarik is one of the most common drinks in Malaysia. But there's something about the ones that Shida's brother makes that tastes extraordinarily good. Probably due to the fact that he's been making them for 25 years.
You know?
The mee jawa is so good that it's hard not to slurp away. It's late afternoon and it's a rare sight to see just one stall open and serving enough customers to fill up an entire food court. It's no wonder they often sell out within a few hours every day. Taking a break from eating, James, Chef Julie and I visit the town's main attraction, the Leaning Tower of Teluk Intan. References are often made to the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy, and one can see why. It was erected in 1885 as a water tower supply for residents of the town, and the tower also served as a beacon to guide ships into Teluk Intan port. However, 4 short years after it was built, the tower started to tilt due to an underground stream. Crafted beautifully from wood and stone, the tower looks 7 stories high, but actually is a 3-story building with just 110 steps that connects the levels. Visitors are welcome to climb the tower free of charge, and it has become a local tourist attraction, with people drawn towards the unique pagoda-like structure. The perspective from the tower is spectacular, with a bird's-eye view of the town of Teluk Intan, especially beautiful just before the sun sets. When in Teluk Intan, there is absolutely no way we're going to pass up the chance to try the famed Teluk Intan Chi Chong Fan, a type of rice noodle roll coined by the original inventors of this uniquely delicious dish, the Liu Qi Chi Chong Fan stall. Liu Qi is the name of Mr. Su's grandfather, who immigrated from China and started a small stall in the market making these rice noodle rolls that turned hugely popular. Today, Mr. Su and his wife run the business, making the Chi Chong Fan by hand in a long, narrow kitchen that resembles a mini factory.
Zen, you've eaten a lot of chichong fan in your life, right?
Tons!
But have you ever eaten one without any sauce at all?
You mean you're taking me to a place there's no sauce for Chi Chong Fan?
Why, you're surprised?
Yeah, how do you eat without sauce?
Teluk Intan chichong fan is very different. You only eat it with pickled green chilies.
But I've had Teluk Intan Chi Chong Fan in KL in the city before, and I know it's full of fillings, right?
Yep. Correct. It's actually made of a lot of caramelized chopped turnips, dried shrimps, and baked onions.
Yeah, but I've always had them with sauce.
That's the wrong way. The original Teluk Intan chichong fan, which is served here, does not have any sauce at all.
Wow.
And it's very, very fresh and juicy.
I never knew that. Are you sure it's going to be awesome?
It's excellent. I can assure you
You're not
that.
biased, right?
Not biased. Oh.
Okay. For the past 100 years, there has not been a change in the recipe nor the appearance of the Chi Chong Fan. Mr. Su firmly believes that if you use fresh ingredients and retain the original flavor, people will love it. And that proves true. There are no seats and no frills, and still customers come in droves to take away, usually buying more than a dozen packets at a time.
俾我試啊？嚇？I'm going to try, but I haven't done it before. Let's see.
你咁樣手啦，嗬。
嚇？咁樣喐下喐下起。
喐下喐下去入咗去啊！
啊，OK。
一盒
一盒夠啊？
一盒滿，一盒滿。
一盒滿。
啊，一盒滿。
OK。
你要啦。要啦，放入去啦。
OK，我掉翻轉頭嚟。
嗱，你嘅手。
啊，咁就得㗎啦，你咁樣就行㗎啦。
Wow. Fresh chichong fan. Let's put
Moist.
this up.
Oh my god, so good. Yeah.
You're right.
Very moist, right?
It's so good. And,
nice,
you can really taste the ingredients inside. And the chicken fun is so soft.
Is it I can finish 2 or 3 packets of this at one go?
Really?
Yeah, I also can now, okay lah.
Oh, what about us?
You order some more.
You have to go and make more.
Made fresh on the spot, the Ji Chong Fun is completely addictive. Sometimes a place becomes popular due to trends and marketing. But in the case of Liu Qi's Telok Intan Ji Chong Fun, it's purely down to genuine good food. Our road trip continues on a food trail to Kampar for hawker stall meals and chicken curry served the most unique way, and comes to a gratifying end with seafood in Ipoh. Chef Julie and I are on a food trail road trip with the perfect guide, food blogger James Tan. We started our gastronomic journey from Sung Kai and are now ready for Kampar, less than an hour's drive away from our previous destination, Telok Intan. Commerce in Kampar revolves around food, with locals and visitors alike indulging in the best food Kampar has to offer. James is taking us to the Kampar food court, where there are more than 50 stalls to choose from, with a separate halal section for Muslims. Faced with the daunting task of deciding what to order, we do this the Malaysian way, ordering from various stalls and sharing the food.
This is a halal section.
Oh, roti canai.
Yes.
Roti kosong?
Roti kosong, roti canai satu.
Okay.
It's also halal itself. Hello, selamat pagi.
Hi.
It's called laksa sanggul.
Wow, looks great. Nasi lemak.
Wow. Staple food of Malaysia.
Yes. Sambal lebih banyak boleh?
Sambal lebih.
Yeah.
Shall we have
Ikan masin.
ikan masin?
Anything else you want?
No, let's not get greedy.
Okay, fine. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Kak.
Thank you.
So good.
One of the best ones that I've ever had.
This
Sambal
one,
is good.
nasi lemak.
It's nice.
Spicy. Of course, we tried hard not to overeat, as we weren't gonna leave the food court without trying the non-halal sections as well.
Bring it to this store. Favorite of mine. Usually you have to come really early for this because they really sell out before lunch.
Mandi. Thank you.
Got it. Okay, so I bring you to this Kampar famous fishball noodle store. You can see everything they made themselves. The famous stuff including the fish balls, the beef balls, the stuffed tofu.
There's one more stall that we have to order from, which, according to James, serves one of the most popular drinks in the food court, a tower of icy cold coffee, the tallest drink I've ever seen.
Wow, Zen. Here we go. Wow.
So big.
So this is your iceberg durian coffee. You all really should try this because it's something that we cannot even find in Ipoh. Julie, it's for you. This is yin yang.
It's unanimous amongst the three of us that the Kampar food court is one of the best in Malaysia. Barely giving pause and doing this food trail road trip incredible justice, we head to Yao Ki, a restaurant that was the first to create a most unconventional way of serving curry chicken, sealed in a freshly baked mammoth-sized bread.
The reason I like this place is that it's been around for a good 31 years. Only Yao Ki so far is synonymous with good curry chicken bread in Kampar. People actually drop by, sometimes they dine in, but most of them they'll actually take out. If it's near to the festive season or a long weekend, you can sell up to 700 of these.
Yao Ki was simply serving authentic Chinese fare when the owner, Mr. Yao, came up with the idea that a chicken dish would be best consumed wrapped in parchment paper and concealed within a loaf of bread. Chef Julie, a great pastry chef herself, tries her hand in making the sought-after dish.
咁樣
撳
啦
邊
嚇
係撳邊係啊，
，and then 碌上去，碌落嚟，
係啊，反翻過嚟。
我反翻掉翻轉頭咁樣
咁啊一路硬長去，
，OK，
再轉
去啦
轉翻過嚟，
OK，
即係你粉底下。
啊，I need to put more flour. If not, the dough will stick onto the table.
硬闊去。
It's very similar to how we roll out a pizza base, you know. OK，
OK，夠大咁樣反一長。
反翻落去。
OK，發得。
All right. We need 3 pieces of this paper. If not, the curry chicken will leak onto the dough.
你接揸住個頭向上啊，轉過嚟。
Pin it together.
呢度又係咁接。
Open it up.
呢度揸住佢，呢度揸住佢。
Now I'm going to take the curry chicken.
快倒落去，快接翻過嚟。
放翻自己。Okay, we put it right in the center.
呢度撥上嚟。
Pull this side on, hold it up. And then
低力，
pull
擠翻靚
this.
佢，埋呢邊嚟再掹上去。
And then we twist the ends together. Then we place it
嗰
on.
位啱打長個位OK。
Besides curry chicken, the restaurant also sells herbal chicken for those who prefer a less spicy alternative. Also wrapped in their homemade bread exactly the same way.
Cut the square.
Easier for us to pick.
Do you used to cut it like that?
No, I just tear everything apart.
用手食就得。
用手就得啦，仲好味啊！用手食。
係咯係咯。
Utterly full and completely satisfied, we leave Kampar and head to Ipoh for one last gastronomic stop on our road trip. Lucky Seafood Restaurant is the ultimate haven for seafood lovers. For over 30 years, Mr. Teo has been personally cooking every kind of seafood dish imaginable. Prawns, fish, abalone. If you can think it, Mr. Teo can cook it. One of James's favorite dish at the restaurant is the fresh seafood porridge.
They call this actually Moon Tei Wong Gam Zhou, literally translated to golden seafood porridge. Porridge tastes really, really sweet and fresh.
呢邊嘅咧，我就用一種好新鮮嘅手法，用一個海鮮嚟煮嗰個粥。我入邊有 scallop、有 crab meat、有 abalone 咁樣樣。咁你睇下一煲5-6個人食，我哋係賣55溝嘅啫。我有8種嘅粥，每一種嘅煮法啲唔同樣。
So I know, Julie, you're very sensitive to additional MSG. So I can assure you that the porridge here, right, they do not add any flavor enhancers at all.
你睇下你食我嘅嘢，你感覺你個湯飲落去唔要鞋係滑嘅，因為我係正式係燉湯，唔係煲湯。
Also chemical-free, Mr. Teo's handmade dumplings are generously filled with fresh shrimps, and his handmade fish balls are just the right texture. Not too bouncy, nor too hard. In Malaysia, it's not just the consumption and enjoyment of food that bonds people. Food is what people do to make small talk. Strangers become friends over food. Relationships are built over food. And stories are exchanged over food. It's a well-known secret that some of the best food in Malaysia can be found in coffee shops and street-side stalls, where cooks for decades have honed their culinary skills to perfection, even before the term chefs became popular. Now, for the ultimate Malaysian food experience, here's one little tip. Never be afraid of over-ordering and always share your food. Wait啊！
有窿眼，突然間走出嚟咧。
哦，OK OK，頭先我跌到，咁樣係咪？
係啦。
去，要吹。
係啦。
去。
Okay, I think I'm going to do this for exercise.
So when you eat wonton noodles next time, right? And if it's handmade, homemade, you know the amount of work that goes into it. It's so worthwhile.
有再嚟過。
啊，再嚟過啊？
你唔夠片㗎。嗱，呢度好容易撳啲，呢度容易撳啲。
係咯。